what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back from the OPTC video, and in today's video it is the end of the month and it is that time again where we put every legend onto a tier list and rate them in what I believe is the most valuable and the top echelon of legends in the entire game for majority of players. Now in today's video we will be ranking all the legends and talking about the characters that came throughout the month. We have 2 new Super Evolutions, we have 2 new legends, as well as our regular level limit break batch to talk about in today's video. And I'm going to put them into the tier list so you guys can see what my thoughts and opinions of them are. Now, if you guys want to check out last month's tier list, link in the description for the playlist. You can go check out all the tier lists, get a bit of a rundown of where characters sit and why. But basically, in today's tier list, I like to try and cater to every part of the game. Whether that's arenas, point farming events, forests, Garbs challenges, Kazuna 10 stars, Super Boss Kazuna, PvP, treasure map, all areas of a game, grand party, all those areas that characters can shine, I do take into consideration in today's tier list. And this one is sort of directed at majority of the player base. However, if you are more of an endgame player, I do like to upload an endgame tier list for you guys to sort of take PvP, 10-star Kazuna, Super Boss, and treasure map heavily into consideration. And that tier list is more designed for people that have been playing game for years, people that have a very established account. But remember, in today's video, this is more directed across the board for players that are looking to level up particular characters. So I do like to take into speed into account, accessibility, their class, their color, how they build teams, so they work well on teams without being boosted, they have great specials, so they have great captain abilities. All of those things come into play instead of just being such a niche area or a direct area of the game. When you look at something like Super Tandem Kaido, for example, whilst he's really, really good in stuff like Super Boss and Kazuna and treasure map, he doesn't really shine anywhere else, which obviously brings him down. So just be mindful of that, but let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed this kind of stuff, belt the like button for me, hit that big red subscribe button if you haven't done so already. So not a lot to talk about this month, but we will adjust the tier list, and with that said, let's dive in. Alright, so huge shout out to the database for the images provided, as well as the tier list maker. I will leave a link in the description to both of those if you guys want to check them out. If you want to build your own tier list, go ahead. I'll leave a link to the tier list that I've built for you guys there as well. So this is the top 10 that I had for last month. We have the God tier, which are pretty much like the next echelon of characters after the top 10. Then we have the S tier all-rounders. These characters are all very, very good as well. And then once you sort of go down from there, the characters underneath that are sort of at your own discretion. The ones that sort of stand out are like Marco for XP farming, Top Musica for like stuff like Grand Party and whatnot. But like these characters, after you kind of do this echelon of characters, are sort of like the next ones down to focus on. Characters like Akainu, great for PvP, like that sort of stuff. S tier level limit break 5. This right here means level limit break 5. These characters are pretty much only good and only this high on the tier list because they have such a good level limit break, which means that you actually need like 10 copies to get them to this particular point. If you don't have them at 10 copies, they probably don't. They probably sit down here. But if you guys go back a couple months and check out the tier list, maybe just go towards the end, you guys will see them sitting at the lower echelons of the tiers. S tier sub, these characters are pretty much only ever used as subs or sailors, which means that they're not a captain option. And that's where they shine the most. And then obviously A tier is below S tier, like B is below then. And then niche and content requires you're only using these characters for specific purposes, like Jack for XP, the revive of Brook. Literally, Neko Inu is just there for the local sea monster because that content is still so stupid. And then you have like Buggy for dupe drops. Needs a 6+ or level limit break. These characters here are the ones that we are waiting for. These characters like need a 6+ or a level limit break so badly. I'm actually going to put Blackbeard up here into niche and content required because when you have that super boss that doesn't have the gray shield, like he actually destroys it. But as for the rest of these characters, they all need some help. As for the support tier, these characters in support are only used as supports. It doesn't mean that they have bad, like, that... It doesn't mean that other characters that aren't in support don't have good supports. It just means that these characters are only ever used as support options. Even with, like, level limit breaks, these two guys, like, and this guy, like, the support is the only time I use them, and the only time that you will use them, per se. So, it's a bit of a bummer. But as you guys can see down here, we have Sanji, Whitebeard, what's her name? Robin, her 6-star and her 6+. Then we have Nami and Mihawk to talk about with level limit breaks. And then we have the new 6+ of Roger, as well as 6 Plus Sugar to talk about as well. So a little bit to get through today, but before we dive into that, I do want to take a look at last month's tier list and actually see if we have any changes there. So let's take a quick look at the tier list. First of all, I want to do this. Nami is the undisputed best legend in the game. Not even a question about it. Honestly, the tier list, if there was another tier, Nami would be here. Like, she would be above everything else. It's not even close to how, like, good she is compared to everything else. She's an absolute demon. As for Super Tandem Luffy, I'm going to move Super Tandem Luffy into second. He's been so good lately for stuff like Super Bosses. He absolutely destroys majority of content, whether that be like point farming events, whether that be forests, whether that be arenas. He is an absolute beast, and if you bring a friend captain that's Super Tandem level 5, which a lot of people have now, you can easily build the rest of the team out with Straw Hat characters, and you can get that done. Straw Hat Crew V2 is still very, very good for newer players, and same with Whitebeard Roger, but I just think they have dropped off so drastically because of the release of so many good Straw Hat Crew characters over the last 6 months. With Whitebeard and Roger, I still think they're probably a little bit higher for newer and mid-game players, as their switch ability is just so god tier. You can slap them on so many teams and just not have to worry about attack and orb boost. Their special is still universal, unless you're looking at the color affinity from Whitebeard. But they're getting that 3 times attack, that 3 times orb, whilst it's been power crabbed, is still very, very valuable. Super Tandem Kaido for me, I'm not a Super Tandem Kaido stan, but I can understand how powerful he is. I just think for mid-game and early players, he's very challenging to use, especially if you don't have that Super Tandem at a higher echelon. However, there are a lot of good characters that help him out, like X-Drake, like his batch, the Jack King and Queen, they definitely help him out. But I'm just not a big Super Tandem Kaido stan. Uta, I love Uta. I love this 6 plus Uta, like the 6++. Don't have like the split like I have for the Yamatos, but if you have one, you have both, so like they're gonna sit next to each other. Top Musica obviously is an outlier down here because she is completely different, but these two are so similar that I definitely want to keep them higher. Law, I'm a big Law stan. I love Law. I think he's very, very good. However, with the release of Verse Yamato, I do think Verse Yamato is going to make her way up the tier list heavily. She was so good in Super Boss, like so freaking good. You didn't need to have it. You just needed one copy of her, and she was such a powerhouse. That extra damage reduction buff is no joke. Plus, she's a 3 times attack boost to Strikers and Free Spirits, which, in my opinion, are the 2 best classes in the entire game. Not only that, she's got great orb manipulation. Plus, if you run 2 of her, she's very viable. The only thing that she does kind of struggle with is being a captain, because she's not a super class or a super type. However, her versatility is very, very good to get the extra damage. She can make tandem orbs hit harder. She gives you tandem orbs for super tandem. She's very, very good. And in my opinion, I like her a lot more than this Kaido. Do I think she can do more damage than this Kaido? No. But with, like, Nami and Robin, like, maybe. Like, she was in this Super Boss. But, like I said, that was this month. That was their month to shine. So, I'll have to wait and see how that goes. As for Snake Man, the Film Red Snake Man, still a very, very good unit. Amazing character if you guys have him. And you have a bunch of Straw Hats on the team. He works great for Psy Super Bosses now that Nami's a thing. He is exceptional. He's a very, very good unit. And then we've got the Ace Yamato. They're so good in Grand Voyage. They work really well for 2 Grand Voyages. Plus, in pretty much every piece of non-endgame content, stuff like that's not treasure map stuff. Even Super Boss, like they can be good in Super Boss as well. They can still be very, very good. Guaranteed conditional boost can be very, very powerful. Their Super Switch is great as long as you get it charged, but in sort of long content, they shine the most. Stuff like Forest, they're absolutely exceptional. They've got great utility in their captain, which makes them very, very good for newer players. Like, if you're trying to do stuff like Dofi 2 for the first time, like this character just like makes it easy mode. Going down to God tier, Ace Sabo definitely are still a top echelon character. They're amazing in Grand Voyage as well. So if you guys are looking for characters to level up, these are the ones you want to focus on for that. As for Super 10, versus Kaido, I'm going to take him way down here. I do still think he's very, very good, but honestly, I think he's better than anyone in S tier captain. But I don't think he's as good as pretty much any of these other characters. Like all these other characters just shine way more, in my opinion. Plus, Driven isn't like super powerful, but Strikers definitely are. So he does lose out a little bit there. As for the rest of these characters, I am definitely going to move K-Dad up. I think I undersold K-Dad a lot last month. I was very sort of put off with this unit because in Super Boss, I don't think they're going to be as powerful as something like the Kaido is. but that doesn't mean that they don't shine in a lot of other pieces of content. They're very, very good with the tack down removal for their captain ability. They have a great super class, but as a captain, they're kind of segregated to utilizing only slashes, but that doesn't make them bad because they can be used on the free spirit team as well. So as a sailor, they work exceptionally nicely. I don't think they're as good as the characters in the top 10, but I do think that they are very, very close. They are amazing in treasure map though, like an exceptional treasure map character. Phenomenal for wave clearing, as well as great orb manipulation. And look, they can be used in Super Boss. I just don't think they're the best unit for it. As for Bonchan is an exceptional unit for newer players. You can make Bond Clay into anything you like, and he's basically your base stat booster and orb manipulator. He works actually great alongside this Kaido, because Kaido makes the recovery Wano. Shanks' stocks went up, baby. I'll talk about that more in my endgame tier list, but the fact that we got a Super Boss that didn't have Super Type made this guy an absolute beast for majority of the player base. The quick team was running absolute riot against 2 Super Bosses that weren't strength. It was wild to see, and just seeing my boy Shanks sit amongst the top of some of like the highest damage teams for most players was just such a good feeling. It just made me so happy. I do think Sop is a little bit more valuable to have for most players because like you can just run a friend Shanks. Doesn't devalue the unit per se, but Sop just has a lot more viability on stuff like the free spirit team because of their base stats, their resistance, their guaranteed conditional boost. And then you got Ben Beckman, Lucky Root after that. Like, these 3 together just make up that quick team. And now with the addition of stuff like Robin and with the addition of Uta 6++, like, you can do some crazy things. Current Wanda, they're exceptional, but, like, obviously, they're dropping off now. It takes a more of a big brain player to actually use them. But I love using this unit. I think they're exceptional in pretty much any content that doesn't involve stuff like Super Boss. They are amazing for Grand Voyage. They can work really, really well in Treasure Map because they are a Treasure Map legend. They're absolutely exceptional, but I do think they're towards the back end of this God tier. If not, probably down here in like S tier all-rounder. As for Kid, this Kid is exceptional. Yamato's stocks went up over to Super Boss. This Zoro, he's a staple on that Dex team, but like nowadays he's kind of like, I mean, he just provides so much damage on that Dex team, so like he's so freaking good. He's a good captain too, actually. Great for wave clearing and great for the slasher team, as well as free spirit as well. Any character that's free spirit is going to sit amongst the top because, like, the free spirits are just so far ahead of everything else. Waifus, same argument. Free spirit strikers. Honestly, for me, these guys have gone up, but I don't know how far up they've gone because we didn't have like a super boss that helped them out, and plus they weren't super good in like the 10-star event like they normally are. But nevertheless, they're still very, very good. As for X-Drake, definitely a great unit for Kaido, and the God tier is pretty much going to stay as it is. The thing I need to move down is obviously Roger. Roger needs to come out. We had him in S tier all-rounder, but with his 6+, I do think that's going to change. So we'll just stick him down here for now, and then once we talk about these units, we'll definitely get into that. As for all-rounders, Robin, I really, really like Robin. I think she's exceptional. However, she's basically an endgame character, like an endgame luxury unit. If you are talking Super Boss, she's one of the best Super Boss units in the game. Like, for 10-star Kazunas, for regular Kazuna mode, she is an absolute beast. Like, there's no one that does what Robin does, and you basically have to find a way to bring her onto every single team. However, especially with Nami. But however, if you're talking about the rest of the game, like, she doesn't really shine that well. She can easily get stuff done, because, like, let's be real. Like, if we're talking, again, endgame player stuff, like, these characters will shine everywhere. You just need to know how to make them shine. But Robin, she's just kind of cool. Like, you know, she's a cerebral free spirit booster, which is great. And she's got that orb buff with her super class. But nevertheless, like, she's just kind of, she's on the echelons of God tier, but she's just not right. She's not really right there, you know. Guaranteed conditional boost works well, but obviously you guys know my narcs with this unit. The 80% pisses me off. Not increasing the orb boost pisses me off. All that sort of stuff is very, very annoying. As for Toki, Toki's amazing if you have her. She's very similar to something like having like a cheese character like Straw Hat Crew and whatnot, because you can just avoid debuffs. Where Straw Hat Crew just makes every buff positive. So she's very good. Hiyori's a great sub. The rest of these characters sort of speak for themselves. I really want to bring up Dogstorm, because Dogstorm's just so good for running every piece of content that is short. Treasure Map, absolutely amazing. Stuff like Arenas, amazing. Stuff like Point Farming Events, amazing. clashes, all of that short content they're so good for. Garb's challenges, the 10-star ones, like just an absolute demon. Same with Cap Viper. However, I do think Cap Viper's not as good, but I do want to bring Cap Viper up because I think these guys, their stocks definitely rose. Well, they should be risen for like people that want to farm out stuff very, very quickly and are going through the back end of the game that have like normal attacks only, because these guys are so freaking good. So definitely level up your Dogstorm. Probably one of the best units of 2022 in my opinion. Frankie Tanky, great for Grand Voyage. Hina, I want to bring Hina down. I don't really use Hina ever. I'm not discrediting what she can do. Her special is kind of wonky for Cerebrals, and she's good for Strikers. But with Quick Cerebral, you just have way better options. She never really made it in Super Boss for me. She never really made it in Treasure Map, even though she's a Treasure Map legend. So it was just kind of upsetting to see where Hina sort of fell after that. But like, she's still good. I'm not saying that she's bad. I'm just saying, like, most of the time, like, you wouldn't really be chasing her too much. As for everyone else, like, I'm not really going to speak about everyone else per se. Like, if you're a newer player, Kaine's great for PvP. The special bind removal of Dofi's great. Marco XP. Queen's great. Lucci's very, very good. These guys are amazing for Grand Voyage. That kind of stuff. But, like, most of the time, we delve into these characters a little bit more in the endgame tier list. But like I said, I'll leave a playlist for you guys down below. So that way, you guys will get an understanding of why these characters are here. But, as always, we do have a bunch of characters that we do need to talk about. So, let's dive into them. First of all, we have Robin, the Cerebral Psy Robin. Now, I did bring her back onto the tier list because she is different to her 6+. She is an orb booster, not an attack booster. At level limit break 5, she's a 4.5 times captain to Cerebrals, makes recovery orbs matching, and extends orb boost. She gives a 2-turn orb boost for Cerebrals at 2.25. And she can remove blind by 6 turns. She also nullifies damage. And that was the big gimmick with this particular unit, just nullifying damage. However, I just don't think it's crazy. Like, I don't think it's... Honestly, if I'm honest, I don't even think it's very good. I definitely don't think it's bad. But, like, the 2-turn orb boost thing is only really good if you're using her as a captain. Because you want it to become 3 turns, which... you're never going to see, because, like, there's just so many other Cerebral units that are just better captains. So, it's a nice, interesting mechanic for Robin, but she still doesn't have a super type, she just doesn't have a super class, and 4.5 is still very low as a captain option nowadays. So, I don't rate her at all. She gives damage reduction, but she doesn't give cooldowns. Like, I just think cooldowns are way better than damage reduction. Always. So, there is that as well. Moving on to the int variation, though, of Robin. The int variation, as I mentioned, is an attack booster. Still a 4.5 times attack boost, just to Cerebrals, but extends the attack boost now. So, very, very similar unit, but instead of removing bind with her special, she removes attack down, and then she still does the damage null, but then she gives an attack boost to Cerebrals by 2.25 for 1 turn. Then after 2 turns, so you get 2 turns of the clock buff, you get a 2.5 times attack. Now remember, if you use her as a captain, this becomes 2 turns, and that helps with that clock buff. But the big knock I have with this unit is when you actually use the special, if you have the clock buff moving into the next stage and the enemy wipes away positive buffs, it is going to get removed. So I do think she's better than the Psy Robin, but honestly, like, I'm going to bring the Psy Robin down. I think the Psy Robin's just bad. Like, I don't like her at all. This Robin, though, I can see some play with because an attack booster is obviously just way more beneficial than an orb boost on a regular Cerebral-based team. But 2.25 isn't exactly super high. It's like sub or koala tier. And then the 2.5 is really not that amazing either. So it's kind of a little bit hit or miss there. You're really only going to use her as a sub rather than a captain. And for this particular Robin, you're never really going to see play with her anyway. But unfortunately, the damage null does not work for Verse Yamato. So this Verse Yamato's ability, she gives a damage reduction buff depending on your damage reduction. If you have the damage null, it's not 100%. It's a whole different buff. So it doesn't apply. So that honestly devalues what this Robin can actually do as well. Because if that gave 100% for that damage reduction, you would just basically give it 2 times damage buff, which would be way more valuable. But Robin got a level limit break, but unfortunately it was just a bit of a miss in my opinion. Next we have Sanji. Now Sanji's an interesting one. He has a level limit break expansion, which makes him a little bit better. But for myself, like I don't have that. So it's kind of whatever for Sanji. He's gone down from needing 6 characters to 5 fighter characters. So that makes him a little bit more usable. He reduces cooldowns by 2 turns with his level limit break captain, I'm pretty sure. And and it goes down to four fighters, which makes it a little bit easier to use again. But again, who's level limit breaking and limit breaking expanding this guy? He boosts the chain multiplier growth rate by 4 times, and then boosts fighter characters attack by 1.85 with limit break expansion, HP by 1.5. But if you just have him level limit break 5, he's a 1.75 times attack boost. He makes tandem and recovery orbs have matching slot effects, and he boosts the chance of fighter characters landing on their own type slot the lower the HP is. So tapping on this character with a Psi, recovery, or tandem slot will apply a minus 10% fighter resistance to all enemies as well if you have him limit break expanded. So the resistance is quite nice, but it's the same as what K-Dad does when you tap with them. It's only when you tap with K-Dad. So you need to be running like 2 Sanjis to both have Psi tandem orbs to get that super effectiveness. His special deals 300 times attack, inside damage to one enemy, boosts fighters attack by 2.25 for 2 turns. And if you have a tandem or recovery orb when the special is launched on your captain, boost the chain multiplied by 1.2 times for 2 turns. If your captain is fighter, he reduces chain lock and chain coefficient by 10 turns, just like he used to. The downside I do find to this guy is he's a bit counterintuitive in the sense that if you need a tandem or recovery, tandem or recovery orb as on your captain, and if he's your captain, then you get all of these buffs. And then that way you can actually get the resistance. However, he increases the chance of landing on your own type if you are low HP. So if you're the lower your HP is, the lower your chance of landing on a tandem recovery orb, which is just, in my eyes, is just stupid. Chain captains have never been my favorite. I've never really liked them per se. And honestly, like, I think I'm going to put him right next to Mihawk. I think he's better than Mihawk, but, like, the buffs are so similar. Fighters, honestly, are the second worst class in the game too. Probably the worst, if I'm honest. So, building teams with this Sanji can be a little bit challenging. And like I said, you need to limit break plus him to make him super, super viable. So, it is what it is for poor old Sanji. I don't rate him. I don't think I would max him out. I'm definitely not going to limit break expand him. So, that's not going to happen at all. Next, we've got Deadbeard. Now, Deadbeard got a level limit break plus captain, but only his 6+ did, which is interesting because he has a bit of a side grade, not like a side grade, but he has a bit of a side grade, so it's weird that only his 6+ got a level limit break. His level limit break plus, with the limit break expansion, gives 2 turns of cooldowns at the start of the quest, 1 turn without LB+, boosts powerhouse and striker characters attack based on the crew's HP, 4.5 at full, 5.5 at 1. This is with limit break plus, remember. It's 4.25 to 5.25 otherwise. Reduces damage by 20% and sets crew's recovery to 0. With his limit break plus, he reduces damage by 30% when HP is 50% or below. So you get a lot more damage reduction the lower your HP is, which is very nice for this particular character, and is definitely something that's needed with low HP captains, and something that I've definitely learned with this Prime Whitebeard that came out too. But we'll talk about him when we get to him. As for his special, he reduces burn and despair by 6 turns now. He boosts the chain multiplier by 1.1 for 1 turn, boosts powerhouse and striker characters by 2.25 attack. And if the HP is 50% or less when the special is launched, which you will usually have because that's the idea of this unit, he reduces damage by 95% for 1 turn and reduces despair by 20 turns. Very, very powerful. Buffs the chain addition by 0.3 if you have a chain buff though. So he works exceptionally well with Verse Yamato and Nami, and that's pretty much why I'm going to put him so high on the echelons of A tier level limit break plus. With his kit, he can do some really, really cool stuff, but he does clash with Nami quite a bit, but also helps Nami as well because you can get that chain boost, the 0.3, and then get that damage reduction for Yamato. However, you'll always be losing out on one or the other. You'll lose out on his chain boost when it comes to using him with Nami, and you'll lose his attack boost when it comes to using with Verse Yamato. The big upside to this unit is getting that 95% damage reduction for the Yamato damage reduction buff. That's what makes him so good. But using him as a captain, I'm never going to use this guy as captain ever. Even with his limit break plus at 5.5 times attack, at 1 HP, it's so challenging to get there, and it's so finicky to use that I'm just not a fan of it. Yes, you can use characters that will lower your HP, and yes, that makes him good, but I just don't think it's going to be one of those units that you strive to use in content when strikers have so many better options. It's not even close to the amount of options that you have when it comes to striker. But as a sub, I can definitely see this guy getting some play, especially on a quick striker team or a quick powerhouse team. But like I said, he works amazingly alongside Verse Yamato, he works amazingly alongside Nami, and you definitely can use this guy to increase your damage output with the damage reduction and that plus to the chain. Finally, we have Nami and Mihawk, the two units that will be coming for the newest Grand Voyage. Mihawk has another one at Barate, so we will talk about him first, and then Nami got hers too, which leads me to believe that Arlong Park level Limit Break and Grand Voyage is right around the corner. But with Mihawk, he did get quite a significant buff in my opinion, and he's probably my favorite of the level Limit Break batch. He boosts slasher characters attack by 4.5 to 5.25 depending on the tap timing, so if you hit a perfect, you're then a 5.25 times captain to slashes. He reduces cooldowns by 1 turn at the start of the fight, and that's pretty much all he does. I don't know if he has a Limit Break Plus. Does he have a Limit Break Plus captain ability? I'll quickly check that. But he's special at stage 2 will reduce defense up by 6 turns, deals 60% of the damage dealt from the previous turn, capping at 999 million, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And then he makes it easy to land perfects. He also boosts Slash's attack by 2.25 and makes Sight, Int, Recovery, and Tandem beneficial for 1 turn. So his special got a significant buff, and it basically means that now you can actually use this guy not to just get his wave clearing mechanics, which is super, super nice. His captain ability does have an LB+. He actually goes from a 4.75 to a 5.25, so it doesn't increase the overall multiplier, but it does increase the start multiplier by 0.25, so that's pretty cool. He then boosts HP by 1.5 and boosts the chance of landing on their own type slot as well with his Limit Break Plus. So just sort of increases his damage there, which is quite nice. And I do think slashes are a class that does fly under the radar. So you can definitely use this guy as a captain, but most of the time you'll be using him on a team, and now that he's an attack booster for that team, you can do some pretty cool stuff. He does obviously have a lot of competition though, with stuff like Zoro's, with stuff like Wipe It and Roger as an attack booster, so you do need to be mindful there. But as for a Mihawk character, he's honestly, in my opinion, he's probably the best Mihawk character we have in the game right now. I can't really think of another one that sort of trumps him, and for his level Limit Break, I do think he's very, very good. On an 11-turn cooldown, he also has a stage 1, which reduces all enemies' defense by 4 turns, deals 30% of the damage dealt from previous attacks, makes it easy to hit perfects, and then doubles the attack. So this guy's always worked really, really well to sort of like kill a revive or something like that. When normal attacks only aren't prevalent, like he's very, very good. But now he can be your attack booster as well, which I do really, really like. As for where I think he sits, I do think he's a very, very good level Limit Break. But I don't think he's the best one that we have in the game. I do think he's in the higher echelons of characters for what he does for the slasher team. But it's just more about, will he fit on that team nicely, and like what other spots will he take up, and who will you replace? Obviously, he's going to be very, very good for the next Grand Voyage against, I think it's against Zoro. You need Mihawk and you actually versus Zoro. So if you have this guy done, make sure to level him up, because he's going to be very, very good. Speaking about Grand Voyage, though, Nami did get her level Limit Break, and when I saw this, I was under the impression that we were going to go straight into Arlong Park. However, Mihawk kind of took the stage there a little bit. Her captain ability does have a Limit Break Plus, but her regular captain reduces cooldowns by 1 turn at the start of the quest, boosts Dex Cerebral Strikers by 5 times with a matching slot, 4.5 times otherwise, and makes Strength and Quick beneficial for Dex characters. With her LB Plus, it's 2 turns of cooldown. Her multipliers go up to 5.25, 4.75 times otherwise, and then boosts HP by 1.3 times and makes Strength, Quick, Recovery, and Tandem always have matching slot effects. Her special reduces paralysis and burn by 6 turns, changes own slot and adjacent slot to matching, and then doubles the color affinity as well as boosting orbs by 2.25. So she got quite a significant buff, but again, it's just kind of like, where are you going to use this particular character that kind of makes me scratch my head. It doesn't mean that she's bad at all. It just means that when it comes to like level Limit Break, she's just kind of like towards this back echelons of what she does. For Dex teams, she could definitely see some play, because she gives 2 very good buffs, being color affinity as well as orbs, and at 2.25 times orb, it's definitely nothing to scoff at. I do think she's at the back end of these particular level Limit Breaks. I think she is quite good, and her and Mihawk definitely got the high end of the stick when it came to looking at the newest level Limit Break characters. But let me know your thoughts of the level Limit Break characters in the comment section below. Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Because Level limit break obviously is more of a luxury for end game players, but that doesn't make the unit bad at all. Alright, moving down now, we're going to talk about the newer characters. We're going to start it off with the 6+, and the first one we're going to talk about is Roger. Now, Roger got a absolute mind-blowing buff. Roger was still very, very good before his 6+, and now he's just got even better. Like, it's awesome to see the king back up on his throne. Is he the best character in the game? Definitely not. But, like, if you've been playing the game for the last 2 years, if you started playing when Roger released, and you have Roger like maxed out or rainbowed, this guy's going to be very, very good for your account, especially if you are struggling with some of those newer characters and Super Tandem and all that jargon as well. But he's a great slasher captain, he's a great free spirit captain, but most importantly, he's a rainbow captain. He has that nullify effect where he can remove Haki, which is awesome. He's a rainbow 5x attack boost with HP at 1.3, and then he also completely removes despair, which is so good as a utility. If you use his special, he is a 5.25x captain for the next 3 turns, and his special went from doing 1 million fixed damage to 1.5, going through normal attacks only. And then his attack boost went up to 3.25, as long as you've done 10 million damage or more. If you have an attack boost when launching this special, he gives a 2.25 times color affinity buff for 3 turns. And if he's a captain, he extends the orb boost by 2 turns. Now, the utility is so good, even though it's despair, because it completely removes it. And the 3.25 times attack boost makes him very, very good because he's a rainbow unit. Not only that, but this guy is such a beast in treasure map that just makes him so freaking good that I'm definitely going to put him up into god tier. For most players, I think this 6+ is going to be your go-to for just like building out like hybrid teams. He can just hybrid up with anyone because he's rainbow. As long as you're bringing like a free spirit team, he's got you covered. A slasher team, he's got you covered. A side team, he's got you covered. If you're using another rainbow captain, he's got you covered there too. So Roger's very, very good, and for most players, this guy is going to help you through most of the game. And for endgame players, he's going to be very, very good in treasure map because he gives 1.5 fixed damage. For 1.5 million fixed damage, you can just use him on a mini boss stage on the map and just like board wipe like forever, which just makes him so freaking valuable for not only new game players, but for endgame players. They gave him some new utility if you want to run 2 of them, which works great because you can get both of that blow away effect. The color affinity is quite nice for 3 turns at 2.25. And remember, with Roger, like, it's like a 3-turn buff is really good because if you have an attack boost and then you use Roger's special to be the color affinity booster, and then they blow away your positive buffs, Roger's just like, nah, get out of here. Plus, he's a super type character, and his super type got a monstrous buff. He gives 1 turn of cooldown to the entire crew with his super type. Changes all slots, including blocking, to matching, and then locks them for 2 turns. This super type, honestly, it has become my favorite super type in the entire game. Cooldowns, locking orbs, matching orbs. Roger blows shit away. You can turn them into Wano slots with Odin. Like, this guy's 6+ is so good, and it's so good to see the king on his throne because this is the best 6+ we have in the game, and it's not even a question about it. It's not even close. This guy is an absolute monster. Moving on to the other 6+ for the month, we had Sugar. Sugar is a very interesting one. I'm just going to move Roger back here. Sugar's an interesting one because she got a significant buff if you have her at level limit break 5. If you don't have her at level limit break 5, she's really not that special and not that crash hot, but she was always a unique character in the fact that she could turn characters into bears. She reduces cerebral and driven characters slots by special charge by 2 turns. Now, this is at level limit break 5, by the way. 2 turns for cerebral and driven, but then she boosts all characters by 4.75 and HP by 1.35. She then boosts characters with a cost of 40 or less by 5.25 and makes quick and in slots have matching slot effects, and she extends the duration of an attack buff by 1 turn whenever the crew uses a special to boost attack. Her special then boosts attack of characters with a cost of 40 or less by 2.5 for 1 turn, changes crew slots to character's own type, turns selected characters up to 5 into toy bears, which have 3250 base stats and a cost of 40 for 3 turns. The toys will automatically attack after Sugar that ignore certain debuffs like barriers, paralysis, bind, burn, all that sort of stuff. They just attack through it. Plus, they add 0.8 to the chain, which is very, very good. If you don't have her level limit break 5, you don't get that attack boost, and the base stats is only 2750. So it's a much lower echelons. Her captain won't have that extending the attack boost, and it's just lower multipliers as well. So you really want to make sure you have this girl at level limit break 5 to see like her like craziness and what she can do. But as a character, like, she's not bad. As like, she's definitely a high-end level limit break. I think she probably sits around this sort of GARP tier because those bears can hit exceptionally hard. Obviously, with power creep and units being at 150, the 3250 might not be completely up your alley. But for, like, rare recruits and, like, other characters that can't even touch 3000, like, this is very, very powerful. Like, incredibly powerful. Not only that, but she's your attack booster. And with her super type, she gives 3 turns of a 2.25 times orb boost to characters with a cost of 40 or less. She also reduced her own cooldown by 3 turns, which makes her very, very good. And with the release of the Super Boss Doflamingo, the 5+, being a 40 cost character, giving 1500 base stats to characters of 40 or less, it makes this unit a lot better as well. But the fact that she needs a lot of help and the fact that you need her at level limit break 5 does obviously deteriorate the value of this character. But for endgame players, she can work very, very well in Pirate Rumble as well. She's very, very good. Also, I want to bring Kid up here. I think Kid is an exceptional level limit break. I think he deserves to, like, be higher up. Whilst this isn't reflective of exactly what I think the level limit breaks look like, I do want to make, like, these characters look way nicer. I think Shiki's, like, probably, like, up here as well. But yeah, Sugar's very, very good. If you have her at level limit break 5, try her out because she's a lot of fun, and I will have a video coming on her very, very soon. Moving on to the 2 new legends now, the crux of the video. We did get 2 new legends with this month. We got Whitebeard and we got Raybon. We're going to start with Whitebeard because honestly, I'm so underwhelmed with Whitebeard. It actually hurts my soul. To think in 2023, we got a prime Whitebeard and he's pretty much dookie, just blows me away. As a captain, he can be a 5.5 times captain as long as you're below 50% HP, and then deals 400 times his attack in dex damage to all enemies. If you're above 50% HP, he's a 5 times attack with 250 damage, and then he halves your HP at the start of the quest, which is nice for what he does, but he doesn't give any cooldowns. Like, the one Kaido came out and was like blowing shit away, but was giving everyone cooldowns, so you could actually use your specials by the time you get to the final stage. With normal attacks only being a thing, and not being a thing on stage 1 and 2 of like 99% of content, like, you just can't stall. Like, you just physically cannot get your specials ready. Like, and it's mind-boggling for 99% of the player base to try and use this guy, and how you would actually, like, get him off. He boosts Dex, Striker, and Powerhouse characters, and his special gives a 20% HP cut that goes through normal attacks only and defensive effects. He's a 2.75 times orb boost, and if the crew has a slot effect boost, he's a 2.5 times attack boost for 2 turns for Dex, Striker, and Powerhouse characters. If you are below 50% HP, he does a 90% damage reduction and increases the attack and orb boost by 0.25. However, if you're above 50%, he gives you 70% damage reduction, and that is literally it. So you really need this guy to be below 50% HP to get him to pop off. Otherwise, you aren't getting, like, the best of the best when it comes to the unit. He's super class that you need basically any of the Whitebeard Pirates, Dogstorm, Cat Viper, Odin, or Ezo, or being below 30% HP, which is very easy to do if you are running 2 Whitebeards, by the way. He does 500 times his attack and dex damage to all enemies and extends the crew's slot boost for 2 turns. And that is literally it. Like, what? What? The thing I see with this unit that makes him, like passable, I guess, is the fact that you can just, like, wave clear content. For a newer player running through the game, he can basically do what Kaido does. However, Kaido, in my opinion, just still does it better. He has the Big Mom effect where, like, you just will never see his special by the final stage. Like, it's 15 turn cooldown as well. It's disgustingly high. And even if you do get the cooldowns, like, using his special will work amazingly with something like versus Yamato. But getting that 20% HP cut through normal attacks only is great and all, but, like, it's just something that isn't really needed. He also has a super tandem for, like, all of his Whitebeard Pirates, as well as Cat Dog, Odin, Ezo, Blackbeard. So you can use those characters too. And he gives a 1.75 times tandem boost to Strike and Powerhouse and a 1.5 times additional damage taken, which will not go through full immunity, which just sucks. Like, it sucks. It's just bad. This unit is bad. Like, I just cannot believe the first legend being a prime Whitebeard is just bad. Like, it's wild to me. It's actually wild. I honestly think if you have this Kaido and you want to do the wave clearing shenanigans, this Kaido is gonna do it better. This Kaido's a Dex unit. He's a Striker Powerhouse unit. You can pretty much build the same teams, and at least you get your cooldowns by the final stage. Sure, you have lower multipliers, but, like, that's kind of whatever. Like, I guess you could hybrid the 2 up, and you can get the benefits there. But honestly, I'm not a fan of this Whitebeard. I'm gonna give him some justice, and I'm gonna put him in S tier sub, because I do think he's going to be an amazing unit to run alongside versus Yamato. Alongside versus Yamato, this guy will be, like, very, very good. But honestly, you're never really gonna want to use him as a captain, so you're never really gonna see his super class, which is kind of annoying, right? So unless you're getting cooldowns, Like, I would not use this guy as captain, but I can see him getting play underneath Yamato, as not only can he give you a 90% damage reduction if you get your, like, HP low, but he can be your orb booster. He can increase Yamato's attack boost. He can increase his own orb boost to get a 3 times and a 3.25. So I can see he play with this guy as a sub. I'm never seeing this guy use his super tandem ability, by the way. Like, I think his super tandem is just garbage. His super class kind of like super mid, and even in Rumble, like, he's just not all that. But I will have a video coming out for that. His Grand Party stuff does seem quite interesting, and I do think that's probably where most people are going to use him, especially in the early stages, because he's like getting quite a nice buff from that. But the character that did come out alongside him, in my opinion, is just way more desirable, and that is young Rayleigh and Scopogaban. Scopogaban finally has a legend. Let's go! And young Rayleigh is there as well, which is super nice to see. And this unit, when it first came out, was like predicted to be like the local sea monster killer, but unfortunately doesn't really work for local sea monster. I'm still trying to work on something, so don't stress. Hopefully we'll like come up with something soon with them. But lately they just like there's been nothing really there to sort of showcase what they can really do. But as a captain in their dual form, they give 2 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest, boost HP by 1.2 times, and boost attack by 5.25 when slots match. They make Sight and Dex orbs have matching slot effects, and they give you 10 turns of attack down removal and heal 1 times their recovery for every perfect at the end of the turn. They also, if you don't have a matching orb, they're a 4.75 times captain. So Rainbow Captain, cooldowns, really nice to see. And they are obviously a dual unit. In their standard forms, they are a 4.75 times captain, and then they go to 4.5 if you don't have a matching slot, which is kind of like, you still get the 2 turns of cooldown. Rayleigh gives the attack down and the healing, and makes Sight orbs have matching slot effects, where Gaban will still give the attack down, but won't give the healing, but is a bigger attack booster. He's a 5 times attack booster, and a 4.5 times otherwise. So you lose the healing with Gaban, and you lose the Sight orbs, but you gain the Dex orbs and the more damage. Both of them have the attack down, which is so freaking good, and is honestly what makes this unit very good as a captain, because of that utility. Very similar to like Frankie Tanky, right? Like, having that attack down in your captain is so good, and it's what makes K-Dad so good as well. They have really good crewmates, and I do think that this guy is going to be used amazingly under something like 6+ Roger, or alongside 6+ Roger, because they remove paralysis by 1 turn, as well as giving 1 turn of cooldown at the start of the quest. Very good sailors. They have Hunger, they have Fear, and then they have a very interesting switch ability. Their switch completely removes Special Bind on themselves, and removes Bind and Paralysis by 1 turn, and also gives an attack buff of 1.3 to the entire crew, which can be overwritten by other attack boosts. So if you have a better attack boost, like with a special or something like that, or a support, you can actually overwrite this, which is super interesting. Their super switch completely removes Special Bind still, turns the Bind and Paralysis to 4 turns, and boosts the attack by 1.3 for 1 turn, boosts the chain multiplier by plus 1.2 for 1 turn as well. So very valuable switch ability. Their super switch is very powerful, and their special is very echelon of 6+ Roger. They reduce Special Bind by 7 turns, which is great because their switch can completely remove it on themselves. And then they boost slot effects for 1 turn based on the number of based on the total of damage dealt with normal attacks before the special is launched. 2.5 for 0, 2.75 for 3 million, and 3 times for 10 million, just like good old Goldie Roger. If they are a sailor, they add 0.25 attack to the attack boost when the special is launched, and becomes Rayleigh and Gaban for 3 turns. So as you guys can see, like, this character is going to be an absolute super sub for Roger teams. Like, if you're running Roger as a captain, running Rayleigh Gaban under that is just going to be so freaking valuable. But as a captain, they have great utility, they have cooldowns, they're a rainbow unit, they can do some really cool stuff, and you don't even have to worry about, like, the fear problem with their sailor and not removing special binds, because their switch ability literally removes the special bind. Not only that, but the fact that you can get like a attack boost overriding their attack boost makes them so valuable with that switch, because you don't have to worry about, like, oh, if I switch I have an attack boost, then I'm like gonna remove the special bind, and then my attack boost isn't gonna work, because it just gets overwritten, which is just so freaking powerful. They're a terrific orb booster, and their switch ability giving utility is very cool as well. Plus, if you get their super switch, they can actually be your chain booster. They're to 1.2 times chain boost. Like, it's nothing to scoff at. Like, it's very powerful. Looking at their overall kit, I do think they are super valuable, especially for newer players, because they are going to help you out in a very big echelon of content. Attack down removal is fantastic. And another thing you can actually do with them is if you use them alongside Roger, and you switch with their attack boost, and then you use Roger, Roger not only overwrites the attack boost, but because you have an attack boost live, you get the color affinity. So literally with the two of these characters together, you get an attack boost and a color affinity boost. You have utility, attack down and despair. You have special bind removal. You have a chain boost. You have an orb boost. You just have so much with the two of these characters. Like, it's so freaking cool what you can do with them. And I do think they are absolute beasts when it comes to most players. Especially if you have Roger. Like, if you just have Roger 6+ and you hybrid them out, like, you're going to do some really, really cool stuff. So, I think they're an absolute god tier for that mid-game player towards that, like, kind of moving into that sort of end-game tier where you're struggling with, like, those really annoying debuffs, like the fear and stuff like that. I do think this character is going to be very, very valuable. Plus, their Free Spirit Cerebral, which makes them awesome. Their Psi, which makes them incredible for the super type of Roger. And you can do some really, really cool stuff there. As for this god tier, I do think it's starting to get a little bit cramped. So I think I'm going to actually take that back. And I'm actually going to bring these two guys, these two units down here. Because whilst they're good across the board, like everywhere, you know, like, I actually can't do that. Like, Dogstorm has to be there. Like, Dogstorm's so good for, like, majority of content. Like, it's ridiculous. But I think I'm going to do it like that. Carrot Wonder, whilst being super, super good, kind of like the Toki effect, you need to be like a more advanced player to actually use them and stuff like that. But that's going to wrap up the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? It's okay to disagree. Like, I like disagreeing. It makes for interesting conversation, as long as you go in with the idea that the conversation is for conversation. But if you enjoyed it, belt the like button. If you are an endgame player and you're kind of like checking this out, make sure to hit the bell notification so you don't miss the endgame tier list, which will probably come out like tomorrow. It'll be like a day later. So let me know your thoughts and opinions there, and if you agree or disagree, I'd love to know. Hit the bell notification, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Lates! Alright, so this is like post-editing Stump kicking in. I did want to make just like one quick change. I think my endgame tier list player pants sort of kicked in, and I kind of may have sort of undersold Uta quite a bit. I do think Uta's very, very good. I don't think that Uta's like the best unit in the game, but I do think that she's very, very good, especially for new players, because I think she has the best special in the entire game. Getting the attack boost that can't be removed, and like the orb boost, like all those shenanigans are so good. Plus, technically, if you have this Uta, you have this Uta, and really, in a sense, you actually have this Uta as well. So I do think that she's going to sit up in my top 3. Probably, actually, now that I'm looking at it, she's probably 4th. I'd probably say she's 4th, and then I'll drop this Luffy back to 5th. Luffy's so high because Free Spirits are so good, and, like, Strikers are so good, too. Kaido, whilst he's very good, like, he struggles quite a bit for, like, your new game players. Law Super Tandem is so freaking powerful for new players, and his utility is great. Another thing about Uta is the utility is so good as well, with Paralysis and Special Bind Removal for new players. That's so viable. So I do think that, like, Uta can easily be put up quite higher. And I think Luffy, whilst I love this Luffy, as an endgame tier list, I've got him higher, but like for newer and mid-game players, I do think that he's probably around that sort of 5th echelons, as most people would be using something like Strike Crew. But if you've got Luffy and you've got Nami and then you chuck Robin on the team, like you're in for a really good time. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time. Thanks!